statements, a number of positive movements here. First of all, there's an overall improvement in the financial situation. The overall situation looks a bit better at the end of 2020 than it did at the end of 2019. One of the big areas is that the contributions that were pledged to GEO increased during 2020 as compared to 2019. But as you'll see as I go further in the presentation, much of those contributions will be received and implemented in the coming period, so in 2021 and a little bit into 2022. You will also see that the COVID-19 pandemic, like with pretty much everybody, had a significant impact on the level of expenditures of GEO, primarily as they related to a lot lower level of expenditures for meetings and travel, as those activities were just unable to be held during much of 2020. One point that I'll make now and then come back on the conclusion is the external auditors reviewed and audited the financials and gave an unqualified or clean audit opinion. So something to make sure we take note of. Next slide, please. So I'll go through now what we call the asset side. So the financial position, what is the status of the GEO fund? And we'll look at the assets or the things that GEO holds. So the first is the cash balance. GEO holds 6.3 million Swiss franc of cash at the end of the year, at the end of 2020, which is a good position to be in. It covers the 2 million of employee benefit liabilities and also all of the remaining current liabilities. And it also gives enough financial resources to cover the operating expenses for the first few months of 2020 or 2021. It should be noted that we need to make sure that we keep a balanced view of the level of the funds held by the GEO Trust Fund, and we're expecting and hoping to see some bigger or larger implementation in 2022 to work down some of the cash balance and not just hold it in the trust fund itself. On the second point, there was a large level of contributions that were pledged but not yet received, what we call contributions receivable. It went from almost nothing, 0.1 million at the end of 2019 to 1.3 million at the end of 2020. And this relates primarily to 3 pledges that were signed at the very end of December in 2020. And most of those were either received or one was canceled during 2021. I go on to the next slide. From the liability side, or what's either owed or not yet earned, there's an element called deferred revenue. This is contributions that have been received, but the underlying activity hasn't yet been implemented. So this grew significantly in 2020 from 0.2 million to 2.7 million Swiss franc at the end of 2020. Now, this is partially related to those new agreements that were signed in December of 2020, like I talked about on the prior slide, but it also relates to some delays in implementation resulting from the pandemic and the impacts thereof. But it needs to be seen that much of that implementation was expected and occurred during 2021 already. So that's, the deferred revenue generally is not a bad thing. It's just a good element to see where are we going and what is some of the future implementation that we would expect to see. Next slide. And then we have long-term employee benefit liabilities. So these are the after-service health insurance and other such liabilities that relate to staff of GEO. This total related to or amounted to 2 million Swiss franc at the end of 2020, which was consistent with what we saw at the end of 2019. And as we said, there are sufficient funds available and reserves to cover those amounts, and that's a good position to be in, and we would continue to recommend that we keep reserves at least at a level to cover those long-term liabilities. It's just good financial management. There was also a liability for a provision in the 2020 financial statements related to a post-adjustment dispute in the Geneva area for the United Nations-based organizations. This is probably going to be resolved in the next couple of weeks, but it was about 0.2 million at the end of 2020. And the results of all of that was that we actually saw an increase in the fund balance, which is sort of the net of everything, what's left over that's unobligated, of about just over £500,000 Swiss franc up to 3 million Swiss franc, really related to the increased contribution level, but also to the lower expenditures that resulted from the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's, again, as I said, a good financial position to be in, but just make sure that we monitor that and hopefully increase the implementation levels to bring that reserve balance maybe down a little bit. Go on to the next slide. Now we'll talk a little bit about the income statement or the P&L. So revenue, the income earned by GEO during the year, was relatively consistent with 2019. So it was 4.1 million for 2020 and 4.4 million for 2019. Apologize, the slide says 2020. That was 2019. But the expenses, as we said, were a bit lower than 2019, primarily resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. Meetings were down by 77% and travel was down by 95%. Now, that isn't overly surprising given the impact of the pandemic on those sectors of the global economy. It should be said that the salary and benefit levels remained consistent from year to year, which is expected and a good thing. However, we continue to see that the budgeted amounts of seconded staff aren't ending up as actual staff being seconded to GEO. So maybe a little bit more focus should be put on whether seconded staff could actually be contributed. So go on to the next slide, please. So just a conclusion of the financial statements themselves. As we said, the external auditors, which is the Italian Supreme Audit Institution, the Corte dei Conti, issued an unqualified or a clean audit opinion. The financial position remains healthy and grew a little bit during the year, up to 3 million Swiss franc. We did see increases in voluntary contributions, which is a very positive sign, but there was a lot of that revenue that was deferred due to delays in implementation related to the pandemic. And then the pandemic, as we've said, had a significant impact on meeting and travel expenditure during 2020. So last message is just to continue to ensure that the funds are available and set aside to support these long-term employee benefit liabilities, but probably don't let the reserves grow too much and get that implementation level up a little bit more during 2022. So with that, Chair, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. And we turn now over to Lawrence Friedel for his presentation.
Great, thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. Today, wanted to tell you about the 2022 budget. So you just heard about the audit from 2020 and some of the information leading into 2021. And so we wanted to tell you actually about the budget that's planned for 2022. So next slide. And wanted to walk you through this in sort of 4 steps. The first 2 are talking about the budget itself, and the next 2 steps are talking about pledge campaigns, which we started last year and we definitely want to continue this year. And so we're going to talk starting about the trust fund budget and highlighting a couple of key expenditures and then get into that pledge campaign. So this is a budget that's for decision by the plenary. I will note that on Monday of this week, the 56 ExCom did endorse this budget. If you're looking at it, this is the budget document 17-5.1b, and it's revision 3 right now. And so that's the one that's going to be for decision. So next slide. The Secretariat developed this budget, and the budget very much supports the operations of the GEO Secretariat. The budget was prepared initially by this GEO Secretariat, starting from the implementation mechanisms of the 2016 to 2025 strategic plan, as well as the concept of operations, which the executive committee sort of endorsed in late September this year. And so they use that as to work up the budget, essentially, so consistent with what's in the concept of operations. In addition, though, because we're looking at that short-term spending to do the work for the midterm evaluation, as well as the prep for GEO 3.0, there is this short-term spending, which is going to be using some of the reserves, proposed to use some of the reserves that Brian just talked about. Now, the Geo Secretary developed this. They did consult with the Geo Budget Working Group. We had some comments and recommendations, and they worked those into this budget. So next slide. And so the high-level numbers, essentially the planned expenditures are overall at 6.7 million Swiss francs, and it breaks down into sort of cash expenditures in terms of, and as well as the in-kind expenditures. You can see how that's broken down. In terms of the assets themselves, there's a total of 8.9 million that's coming from the contributions from members and participating organizations and others, as well as the in-kind. And then some of this related to the reserves that Brian talked about, the trust fund balance and the working capital fund. Next slide. The thing that I really want to point out here, next slide, please. The thing I really want to point out here is the difference. So that first arrow should be at the 5.4, and the next arrow should be at 3.9. And so that's really the difference between what we're expecting the expenditure is in terms of the budget and what we're expecting to take in from the standpoint of the contributions to the trust fund. And so the difference there is the part that we're really trying to make up. And so that's, long-term standpoint, it's unsustainable to have your expenditures significantly more than the contributions that you're bringing in, unless you're just going to drain all of your reserves, which is not the position that we want to be in. So we'll update these charts so that the arrows align up into the correct places. So next slide. This is where I want to call out some of the key planned expenditures. And so in terms of short-term staffing needs, looking for a short-term expenditure of 1 million Swiss francs. And this is going to, as I mentioned earlier, going to support the response to the midterm evaluation, as well as the prep for 3.0. These are not in the concept of operations, and so they're not part of the long-term staffing needs. But this is why, I think it would be a good chance to use the reserve, to use the reserves, like the working capital fund and all, as a way of helping to address these. In addition, there were some increases that are in this budget. For sponsored travel, like for developing countries, that there's an increase of 50K for that. So it's bringing that total up to 200,000 Swiss francs, as well as the budget committee, the budget working group rather, we identified that there should be an increase in secretariat training, the budget for the training for the secretariat staff. That's a recommendation that we made, and the secretary incorporated it. So it's increasing it by 90K up to 100,000 Swiss francs. Next slide. And so that's the budget overall. Now we want to get into briefly talking about the Geo Pledge campaigns. If you remember this time last year, we started off the first Geo Pledge campaign. Next slide. So that's going to be the 2021 pledge campaign. We want to tell you a little bit about what happened. And so the pledges come in two forms. One is the financial, so for the trust fund contributions, and the second one's related to secondees. And so in terms of there's some good news when it comes to the pledge campaign. The number of contributors in terms of member countries and participating organizations essentially stayed the same. However, the pledges that came in increased. And so the average was about 3.2 million, and that increased to 3.9. However, with 2021, there was this shortfall as expected compared to the expenses. In addition, in terms of the secondees pledge, there was also 2 additional secondees in place. And so that's also part of the pledge campaign from 2021. Overall, between the Secretariat and the Budget Working Group, we identified that the pledge campaign was a positive thing that we wanted to continue. So next slide. So we are looking at it again for 2022 and looking to sort of kick that off this week. So next slide. And for this, really we're expecting, as I mentioned earlier, the cash expenditures to be at 5.4 million. In terms of the projected contributions, this is based on the historical trend and what we saw just recently. We're seeing that as 3.9, and we also take the value of the secondments. And so that leaves a sort of a shortfall of 1.1 million. And so that's really what the 2022 pledge campaign, that's our goal to make up. And so we're looking at it both from increased numbers of countries and participating organizations and associates who are contributing to the trust fund, as well as more countries, as well as greater contributions for the countries and participating organizations that are contributing. So that's what we're aiming for this year, and really need everyone's support within the GEO community. Next slide. So in terms of supporting the pledge campaign, you can go to that website that's listed there. So it's the GEO website /pledge campaign. And that's really tied in. The messaging on this is really tied into the GEO value proposition. And so the midterm evaluation really identified that. And I think the pledge campaign really can be a chance to emphasize that value proposition that GEO has. And in addition, if you're sitting there as a GEO member, participating organization, an associate, or someone else, really looking for you to follow up with the GEO Secretariat in terms of what you are able to pledge, as well as we're looking for you to share the website and the campaign materials. Please share it across the different communication channels that you have and that GEO has. So next slide, finally. So I'll revisit the 4 steps, and then this is where I want to turn it back to the chair so that we can go to the plenary for a decision on this budget. So back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Lawrence, and thank you, Brian, for presentations. We'll open the floor up to comments or questions from the community. And while you're thinking about that, I'll also ask you to formally ask you for your endorsement of the financial statement and the audit and the GEO Trust Fund budget. So please indicate in the chat feature your concurrence on or disagreements with the budget and presentations. And seeing none at the moment. Oh, good. China, please go for it.
Oh, thanks. China endorsed 2020 GEO Trust Fund budget and hope that GEO Secretariat inform the plenary and ExCom promptly of the state of short-term staff recruitment. In 2022, China will make a contribution to GEO Trust Fund as always and participate in GEO campaign and budget working group to help GEO mobilize resources. Thank you.
Thank you, China. Other comments from the community? John Bell, I see your hand is up, and then Mobeneni.
Thank you very much, Steve, and thank you to Laurence and Brian. And my name is John Bell. I'm the ECGO Principal First Alternate. And I'd like to thank you, Steve, for the work that we've been doing together, and my colleagues, Jean and Patrick and Joanna earlier on, who you mentioned, and you can count on our continued cooperation. So as with our colleagues from China, we'd like to endorse this motion. And my responsibilities here for being in charge of the implementation and execution of the European Union's Research and Innovation Union budget supporting European GEO actions under the previous Research and Innovation Horizon 2020 program and its successor Horizon Europe. It's a great pleasure for us to be able to support this motion and to continue to support enthusiastically the work of this great organization. I commend the GEO Secretariat for the presentation of a budget of the Trust Fund for 2022, covering the activities identified within the new concept of operations document. We very much welcome that the budget 2022 is focusing in particular on a key function for us identified within the CONOPS document, which is the communication and engagement function. Regarding the engagement function, it includes engaging with the active communities in a priority domain for the EU. This is, of course, the climate transition. As you know, in the European Union, we've launched the European Green Deal, which is a framing of all of our activities for climate neutrality within planetary boundaries by 2050, and the associated European Green Deal missions, which no doubt many of you will hear more about in the coming months in areas such as the domain of climate adaptation, ocean restoration, soil restoration, and cities rebuilding. And we believe that initiatives such as GEO have an enormous potential to support those actions in the domain of climate adaptation and monitoring. So we welcome the use of the GEO Trust Fund resources focusing on informing climate decisions and on climate monitoring and adaptation. In this vein, we believe that it is very timely that you dedicate resources to communication actions, as very often the GEO actions and Earth observation in general are not fully understood and taken on board by those who are actively working in the fight against climate change on other fronts in particular, but who are also in other big planetary challenges such as disaster resilience or meeting our common sustainable development goals. So we would like to approve the 2022 budget. And I'd also add that regarding the potential of GEO, as explained before, we want to continue to contribute to the GEO Trust Fund as we did in 2021. I'm pleased to announce that we will then contribute for an equivalent amount to the GEO Trust Fund in 2022, namely 1.2 million euros, which we pay on behalf of the European country members of the GEO. This amount is part of the approved Work Programme 2022 of Horizon Europe. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, John. And now to South Africa, Boneni, please.
Thank you so much, Chair. We also want to state our support for the statement and also to commit that South Africa will do all we can to continue to support the mobilization of additional resources. I need to indicate here that we will be availing 3.5 South African million rands. 2 million rands of that will be reflecting on the Secretariat statements in the form of our contribution, but 1.5 million rand of that will go to the support that we give to the regional GEO, which is AfriGeo. And then I also need to indicate here that we're going to be continuing our support as well financially for the network of Mercury observations, which we are supporting in the continent, in the African region, but which is anchored in South Africa. So we want to again say to the Secretariat, we appreciate the manner in which the funds have been managed and handled, and we hope that we continue in the same spirit going forward. Thanks very much.
Thank you, South Africa. Looking for generally positive endorsements in the chat feature. Anyone else or wish to speak or raise a comment or question? United States, please, Lawrence.
Great, thank you. If I can step out of the budget working group role and back into United States role, I just wanted to let you know that Steve has already indicated that we support the budget as well as the audit. We also are very excited about the GEO Trust Fund for 2022 and wanted to let everyone know that the United States is very much going to be again contributing, and our pledge is going to be over 750,000 Swiss francs, and we're going to be providing a more concrete number to the GEO Secretariat in the coming months.
Thank you, United States, Lawrence. And I believe generally consistent support for the budget across the board. Thank you all, the GEO membership. And one last plug, I ask you to look to the pledge campaign and the link that was put in the chat feature. This will be open and going on for some time, and we appreciate everybody's contributions, recognizing as well, as South Africa mentioned, that the trust fund is a significant part of the members' contributions to GEO, but there are many other ways that we all also bring resources and capabilities to the success of this program and this mission. So with that, we'll list the two documents as concurred on by the plenary, and we'll move on to the next session of the work of the plenary today, which is section 5.2, where we'll be talking about the Geo Awards and Geo Art Competition results. Just noting that Our GEO mission is focused on bringing information and awareness to our membership and communities around the world. And that mission is really enabled by the incredible dedication and commitment of our community of members that we bring to this very important work. In this session, we will focus on the hard work and the significant contributions of those members of our community, recognizing by our own members as well for their excellence in their contributions. We'll speak to the GEO Individual Excellence Awards, the EO for SDG Awards, and for the first time ever, the Geo Art Competition Awards. We received over 60 entries for the art competition. I really look forward to seeing all of those submissions and to seeing the award winners today. We'll start off with a 15-minute video announcing the Earth Observations for Sustainable Development Goals Awards. So may we please key the video now, and then we'll follow with the other two awards. Thank you.
Greetings everyone, my name is Ardziro Cavada and I am the Executive Director for the GEO Earth Observations for Sustainable Development Goals Initiative, or EO for SDG. On behalf of GEO and the EO for SDG initiative, I am very excited today to be honoring the organizations receiving the 2021 Geo Sdg Awards. This international awards program recognizes organizations who take action while building coalitions across sectors and communities to increase progress on sustainable development goals, monitoring, tracking, and implementation through the use of Earth observations and derived knowledge. This year, we received 24 nominations from organizations around the world. Leading up to the ceremony, 9 panelists from across sectors and countries reviewed the nominations, assessing their overall impact, quality, and soundness, and gauging their potential to be replicated and scaled up. We are thrilled to recognize today the work of 8 awardees. We hope these awards will give these organizations an opportunity to showcase and promote their outstanding efforts and achievements. It is my honor to announce that Colombia has been selected for a 2021 GEO Member Country Sectoral Category Award for their work in leveraging optical satellite imagery, census data, and population projections to create SDG and calculate SDG indicator 11.3.1 ratio of land consumption rate to population growth rate for a national sample of cities. Accepting the award is Sandra Liliana Moreno, Technical Director of the Geostatistics Division at the National Administrative Department of Statistics, DANE, in Colombia. Next, I am excited to announce that the United Arab Emirates is also being awarded a 2021 GEO Member Country Sectoral Category Award for their work to federate their SDG-related data and share it directly with the United Nations Federated Information System for the Sustainable Development Goals through the UAE SDG Data Hub. Accepting the award are Her Excellency Thuraya Al-Hashimi, Executive Director for Digital Data Enabling Sector at the UAE Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Center, and Marwa El-Kabani, Associate Advisor for the Future of Data Department at the UAE Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Center. I am happy to announce that the collaboration among UNDP Colombia, UNDP Ecuador, and UNDP Peru has been selected for the 2021 Intergovernmental Sectoral Category Award for their efforts to work with NASA and government leaders and academia in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru to create nationally relevant data leveraging Earth observations to support implementation and reporting on SDG 15, Life on Land. Accepting the award are Sarah Ferrer Olivella, Resident Representative for UNDP Colombia, Matilde Mort, Resident Representative for UNDP Ecuador, and Bettina Wall, resident representative for UNDP Peru. It is my honor to share that the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has been selected to receive the 2021 SDG Custodian Agency Sectoral Category Award for their efforts in developing a new method to measure and monitor SDG Indicator 15.4.2 Mountain Green Cover Index, leveraging free and open Earth observation datasets from Land Cover Time Series, ground truth land cover data, and mountain elevation range datasets. Accepting the award is Pietro Gennari, Chief Statistician at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. I am also happy to announce that Stanford University has been selected to receive the 2021 Academia Sectoral Category Award for their efforts in integrating the essential biodiversity variables derived from Earth observations to improve the accuracy, accessibility, and relevance of ecosystem service modeling. We also want to recognize Stanford for its close collaboration with the Ministry of Environment and Energy in Costa Rica and the Central Bank of Costa Rica to generate national SDG indicators and improve biodiversity and ecosystem service monitoring for other policy conventions. Accepting the award is Becky Chaplin-Kramer, lead scientist at the Natural Capital Project, Woods Institute for the Environment, Stanford University. I am now happy to announce that the Netherlands Space Office has been selected to receive the 2021 Special Category Award for Innovation because of their work on the geodata for agriculture and water, space for food security facility, promoting the use of geodata and other open data in support of farming applications to improve food security in alignment with SDG 2, Zero Hunger. Accepting the award are Harm van de Wettering, Director of the Netherlands Space Office, and Ruud Grimm, Program Manager at the Netherlands Space Office and Coordinator of the G4AW program. It is my honor to share that the Water at Reading research group at the University of Reading has been selected to receive the 2021 Special Category Award for Testimonial Story for their efforts in the use of state-of-the-art global-scale flood forecasting models for humanitarian organizations to take early action ahead of flood events, and for showcasing a concrete example that clearly demonstrates the impact of Earth observations on the government of Bangladesh flood management approaches and decision-making. Accepting the award is Liz Stevens, Associate Professor in Climate Risks and Resilience at the Department of Meteorology at the University of Reading. The collaboration among UN Habitat, NASA, ITC at the University of Twente, and the UAE's Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Center, and many more contributors from across sectors and organizations, was selected for the 2021 Special Category Award for Collaboration for their efforts in creating the Earth Observations Toolkit for Sustainable Cities and Human Settlements. The toolkit shares Earth observation ready-to-use data, tools, and use cases, and serves as a first step for countries and cities interested in using Earth observations for SDG 11 and to advance efforts in alignment with the new urban agenda. Accepting the award are Robert Dungwa, Head of the Data and Analytics Unit of the Knowledge and Innovations Branch at the UN Habitat, Dennis Mwaniki, Spatial Data Expert in the Data and Analytics Unit at UN Habitat, Monica Kuffer, Assistant Professor at ITC at the University of Twente, and Marwa El-Kabani, Associate Advisor at the Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Center in the United Arab Emirates. Congratulations and our deep appreciation on all you have done to advance sustainable development around the world through Earth observations in alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And finally, to everyone that is watching and listening to us today, we invite you to find out more and hear from these awardees about their projects by visiting the Geo and EU4SDG websites and accessing a recording as well as a blog post that shares more details about each one of the awarded projects. We also want to ask you to help us recognize these awardees by spreading the word about their outstanding achievements and efforts to use Earth observations to monitor and accelerate progress on the Sustainable Development Goals. Please share your congratulatory messages on social media, tell your communities and networks about these projects, and also share their work as use cases demonstrating the power of Earth observations on delivering positive social, economic, and environmental impact. Thank you, and once again, congratulations to all the awardees.
Thank you for the video, and thank you, RG, for the presentation, and to all the congratulations to all the awardees. An incredible, a very comprehensive and capable group of members of the GEO community. I'd like to turn the floor over now to Natalie Petorelli, Chair of the Program Board's Awards Subgroup, who will announce the GEO Individual Excellence Awards. Please.
Thank you very much. So hello, I'm Natalie Petorelli. I'm the UK Principal on GEO Program Board. And I'm very happy today to talk to you about the GEO Individual Excellence Award. Now, GEO is full of amazing people, giving time and energy to make the world a better place, bringing community together, developing data platforms, tools, and products that support decision-making and help address the global challenges we face. Next slide, please. I'm really lucky enough to be part of the award subgroup, a subgroup that was set up by a program board. And our job is to identify and celebrate GEO role models and unsung heroes that make GEO such an inspirational community. The subgroup is expertly chaired by Kathleen Fontaine, who couldn't make it today, which is why you got me. And as usual, she did an amazing job at bringing us together during the awarding process. Other panel members included Marie-Josée Bourassa from Canada, Alison Craddock from IAG, Guifei Jing from China, and Karen Payne from ISC in Canada. But so without further ado, let me introduce our 4 awardees. Next slide, please. So our first awardee is Brian Killer. Now, Brian Killer has been an outstanding contributor to GEO Mission, providing innovative real-world solutions through Open Data Cube. His work was really instrumental in the creation of Digital Earth Africa, Digital Earth Pacific, Digital Earth Americas, and many other data cube in the world. So Brian, from the United States, if you wouldn't mind taking the floor and giving us accepting this award.
Thank you. It's an honor to receive this award. Though this award suggests individual excellence, none of my accomplishments would have been possible without the dedication and support of CEOS, the Committee on Earth Observation Satellites. I've been a part of many teams focused on increasing the impact of satellite data through GEO initiatives. And in addition, many of you know I have a personal passion and commitment to the Open Data Cube, as I believe it's a great example of open science. Though our work is making an impact, we need to continue to find better ways to access this satellite data and increase capacity for global users. The leadership in GEO, the leadership that GEO provides makes me confident that the future is bright for Earth observations. And I thank you again for this honor.
Thank you very much, Brian. If we could go back to our slides, please, to introduce our second awardee. Thank you very much, Frick. Our second awardee is Natalia Kusu. Natalia is the Deputy Geo Principal in Ukraine and a representative of Ukraine in Euro-Geo high-level working group. She has been a PI or co-PI on a number of initiatives, but worth mentioning GeoGLAM Ukraine, SDG indicator monitoring project in Geo Amazon Earth Observation Cloud Credit program and the GeoG program. So a fantastic voice for Geo in Ukraine. Natalia, please.
Dear colleagues, I am very excited to be recognized for this Geo Individual Excellent Award. And I understand I'm very grateful to Geo and to all my colleagues and partners who I collaborate with. I am a scientist and I am happy to contribute to innovative projects of Geo and to collaborate with brilliant teams all over the world. Especially, I would like to mention Euro-Geo, which support the valuable European projects such as Sigma and eShape, where I and my institute contribute. And due to it, we make some efforts to take part in GeoGLAM and Geo for SDGs projects. Our team was recognized for Geo Amazon and Geo GE projects for utilizing cloud platforms for Earth observation monitoring. And all these opportunities help us to accelerate progress of Ukraine into the digitalization and delivering positive social economical impact. Thank you very much for this incredibly valuable award. And thank you very much to all my international colleagues and partners for the environment where we can work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Natalia. Our third awardee is Quin Ling. Now serving as the director of China Geo data sharing platform and China National Earth Observation Data Center, Quin has been leading China geodata sharing activities since 2014. What is really impressive is that he has been coordinating the China Geo-disaster data response mechanism, which has been providing free high-resolution satellite images and solutions to more than 25 global disaster events in the past 5 years. So Quin, please.
Thanks, Natalie. Thanks all the distinguished friends. It's my great honor to accept the important award today, especially in the presence of all of you. It's really exciting time. In the past decade, Geo is the most important word in my career and my life. I'm happy to grow with Geo together. Geo gave me this word today. I understand which is a recognition of my past work and which taught me that my effort in the past years is valuable. It's very important for me. Luckily, I'm mainly involved in the data sharing, which is one of the core contributions that Geo made for the world. It is Geo's unique concept and effective way to promote data sharing that attracted me to pay and work on it. Just as all my colleagues feels, the process is indeed not easy, especially in the Asian area. But it is why the achievement and the happiness we experienced to be unique. At this moment, I invited my boss, as my colleague, my friends around me. I invited them to share this honor and happiness together, thanks to their support and help. Finally, Yes, I wanted to give my thanks to colleagues from Asian Ornia Geos and China Geos for their nomination. Thanks to Casey and the selection panel for your outstanding work. Thanks especially to Yana, the secretary team, and program borders for your support and understanding in the past cooperations. Okay, thank you. Thank you again. Good night.
Thank you very much, Go-King. And our last but no least awardee is Stella Mutai. Now, Stella has been using GIS and remote sensing methodology to support farmers in Kenya. Currently, she's working in the United Nations World Food Programme, using her skills on GIS and remote sensing to address poverty and the lack of food availability in developing countries. What we were really impressed with Stella is her work around mentorship of other young women and her engagement with geospatial women, which continue to offer young women exemplary role model. So Stella, please.
Thank you all. Thank you for the Geo Group for your nomination and above all for your trust and awarding us for this great effort. Thank you for the group of Earth observation. My passion is in seeing and realizing that that women understand, especially in Africa, the importance of Earth observation and how particularly it can be used in solving especially food security. Currently in my role, which I thank all my colleagues in trying to understand how satellite application can be used for humanitarian emergencies and extending a lot covering the scope of Africa. This award is more greatly an opportunity for me to enhance my capabilities, my voice also to other young people that are coming up, especially in the African continent, and more grateful to the Digital Earth Africa Hub that gave me this opportunity to enlighten myself in the use of Earth observation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stella. I believe I'll pass the floor to Steve.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you to all the award winners for your excellent work. With that, now I'd like to turn the floor over to Yana Gevorkian, who will introduce and announce the art competition winners.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our final day, and this is definitely a super exciting session. During this week, we've been speaking a lot about the need to raise awareness about the power that Earth observation holds in helping humanity to live in harmony with nature and helping to raise awareness about the work that GEO does to help in that quest. When it comes to raising awareness, obviously communications is absolutely key. Communication that cuts across communities, across sectors. And one of the most powerful tools of communication is art. Art is inclusive, it's accessible, it transcends communities, cultures, time, languages. And so we've decided to introduce art into GEO's communications toolbox. And we did this year with this fun experiment of launching a Geo Art Competition. We did this under the theme of Mother Earth, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. We opened it up to the world, to every citizen in every part of the world. And over the course of 2 months, we received 49 entries, not quite over 60 as earlier advertised, but 49 entries from 26 countries. And today we're really excited to present you the winners of our first Geo Art Competition. But we wouldn't have winners if we didn't have judges. And 3 fabulous human beings joined us in this first experiment and participated in judging this competition. I'm going to introduce these judges by their names and then turn this over to them so they can say a few words about why they participated in this event, and then reveal to you the winners of the competition. So our 3 fabulous judges are Nicole Stott, Claudio Munoz, and Jeremy Donovan. And I hope they're all on the line. I know Nicole is, so I'm going to turn this over to Nicole.
Good morning, afternoon, evening. I know I'm joining you from Florida in the United States, where the sun is just starting to come up. Very thankful to be included as part of this first Geo Art Competition. I love that it's now part of the complement of how the group is considering the overall communication of the significant messaging that's going along with this. The theme, Mother Earth, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. I think that was ultimately what really pulled me in, because I think it really speaks to people in so many ways, and has a way to bring to life not just the data that we're getting from our planet, but the heart of it as well. So I'm thankful for that. As was mentioned, we received a really wonderful variety of artwork, and that's not just in the kind of work, but also from our youngest Earthlings to some of our oldest probably, and that was nice to see. Made it difficult to choose. I love that it represents our planet as well. And I'm thankful to have had the opportunity to observe Earth from a very special vantage point, and to have that Earth observation as my own inspiration for art. And I hope you can see behind me that the blend of Earth and space and science coming together is important to me. But I'll stop rambling and I have the honor of announcing the 4 selections from the painting, what we had as a painting and drawing category. And those 4 are Yunchen Yu, Tara Ilgner, Amelia Novikova, and Clara Maisch. And I hope you'll agree it's a really wonderful kind of blend of different interpretations and different presentations of Mother Earth. Really beautiful. And I'd encourage everyone, I know they're making it available, to go look at all of the entries that we received. Really interesting mix and presentation of Mother Earth. And now the second category that I get to announce is a compilation of the video and music entries that we had. And those 3 selected are Philip Samarstis and Grayson Cook and Dougal McKinnon and Raquel Santiago. And these, you definitely have to go and immerse yourself in what is presented to really appreciate the art that was contributed here. I'd just like to say thank you to all of the entries. I hope that we'll see even more and increase the number next year. And I wanted to thank Geo for the work that you're doing, most definitely as crewmates here on Spaceship Earth, not passengers, and through what you're doing, bringing to life the science that will help us improve life on Earth for everyone. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Nicole. And Claudio, can we go to you now?
Yes, of course. Hi. Well, it's been a very difficult task, as you said, with the variety of the submissions, and particularly the different ages. But I think it was the most striking thing was this collaboration, and I'm very thankful for you all to have asked me to be part of it, of something that involves our whole world, which is clearly represented here in the list of submissions. I've been charged to tell you the winners of mixed media, who are Malu Cabellos with Torrent from Peru, Minashi Pradep, a 16-year-old from India. Wonderful. And Leila Chiyembayeva, I hope I'm pronouncing the names correctly, from Kazakhstan. very fine words. And congratulations to all of them.
Thank you very much, Claudia. And I think since we don't have Jeremy with us, would you mind to keep going and introduce the last category?
Photography. With pleasure, yes.
Jeremy's online.
Ah.
Sorry, Jeremy. I looked just earlier and I missed you. Reveal yourself.
Go on.
Oh my God, I was racing to get reception. Yeah. I'm sorry, but welcome everyone.
Welcome, Jeremy. Take it away. You have the, you are in charge of introducing the winners in the, let's see, what's left? In the photography category.
All right, no problem. So I just have to flip to a different screen. So it's been an absolute privilege to be part of the judging along with all the judges. And so the photography, we have Christian Klepp, Catching Stardust, which is incredible. Arnaud Quinsney from France, and Mohammed Rakbul Hassan, Bangladesh.
Thank you, Jeremy. Nicole, you, did we miss something?
Illustration.
Illustration,
Oh,
there we go.
Again, sorry, I didn't. Illustration, again, as an artist myself, it was an incredible privilege to look through all of the different forms of mixed media art and illustration and photography. But the winners for the illustration are Ray Eason from the United States, Waylon Quinzel, I apologize about the pronunciation, and wow, Bernard Disiyank Yak Mathuki Nithma Sanindi from Sri Lanka, 11 years old. What an absolute achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. And you didn't get to say who you are and where you're from.
So I'm so sorry about that. So my name is Jeremy Donovan. I'm a Gokka Yalandi man from Cape York. My father's family, I come from a very rich cultural background, especially in the music and arts. And my grandfather was a very well-known traditional songman from our country and an artist, and I've been very privileged to be able to carry on those traditions and share them around the world, but sort of importantly with my family still, and carry on and maintain tradition that has been going on for so many thousands of years. So it's a privilege to be part of this competition. So congratulations to everyone that entered, and especially to the winners. You've done an incredible job.
Thank you, Jeremy. And Claudio was also very humble and didn't really introduce himself, so I have to do it if he doesn't want to do it. Claudio?
Well, I'm an illustrator, and although I was born in Chile, I spent a lot of my life here in England, and the collaboration with Geo and the judges and you, the organizers, has been such a pleasure, such an exciting thing, and I believe in the right direction for what humanity is trying as a species to get to, to finally become one with our world, which you call, you rightly gave the name to the competition. I see you, I hear you, and I feel you. I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful initiative.
Thank you, Claudio. Thanks to all of the judges. And I must really say that all of the submissions that we have received will be compiled into a virtual album, Geo's Observing the Earth, and we will publish it on the website. And I really hope that as you visit the Geo website, you will get to see this vast representation of people's association with Mother Earth and what it means to them to see it, to hear it, and to feel it. So thank you once again. This is the first time, and we really hope to grow this program and engage with the citizens further through the most powerful, accessible language of art. Thank you all. Congratulations to all the winners. If you are still on the line, you are welcome to put on your video so we get to see you even as we transition to the next item. There you go. Oh, there you go, you guys. Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks for participating. You made it possible. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Oh, there you go, Clara. That is so cool. Oh my gosh, my Tuki's there. Sorry, I'm still on the mic, I realize, and I'm squeaking, but this is super exciting. All right, Mr. Chair, back over to you.
That's a hard act to follow, and my congratulations. I encourage, I want to thank Yana, Nicole, Claudio, Jeremy, and all of our award presenters for bringing these efforts to us, and encourage everybody to open their cameras and give a round of applause to the award winners, to our art competition winners, and to the community overall.
And we do have some surprises coming your way, winners, just to let you know. Okay, Steve, that's it.
Thank you. This would be so much better in person, but this is great nonetheless. And so this is a good global event, even as it's happening. So with that, I want to thank the completion of the awards and the art competition section of the presentation, and we'll now move to another piece of the GEO internal working and work efforts that we have, and that is the GEO Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion section 5.3 of the program. I invite Natalie Petarelli, or co-lead for the Program Board Equity, Diversity, Inclusion subgroup, to present the statements, and which is up for plenary decision today. So please, over to you, Natalie, again. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Steve. Can I get the next slide, please? Thank you. Oh, that is not the slides that I've sent, so therefore my surprise. Let me just talk to you about the statement. So early 2020, the program board recommended the creation of an equality, diversity, and inclusion group. The subgroups support the strategic aim of developing GEO as an institution that provides a fair, supporting, and also encouraging networking environment with which a diverse set of participants engage responsibly. It also aims to ensure that equality, diversity, and inclusivity are fully considered, addressed, and embedded within GEO activity and decision. Now, soon after we started, initial discussion within the subgroup quickly identified the importance and the need for GEO to establish and widely promote its vision and commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion through the production of a GEO-wide statement. Now, equality, diversity, and inclusion position statement are public-facing document articulating an institution vision and commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusion. A GEO EDI statement was submitted to Program Board early 2021 and then to Executive Committee, sorry. And it was approved as it's March 2021, or at least give the green light with some feedback. It's still not, do I need to share my screen maybe? Or maybe not.
Yes, please. If you want to, please go ahead.
It might be easier. Up. Hopefully you see it well. Yes? I'm going to assume yes. So I've covered this. So let me talk to you about the GEO EDI statement. So what's important for this statement is that we wanted GEO to really articulate its commitment to, one, supporting the development of a dynamic, diverse, and inclusive Earth observation community in which everyone is valued, respected, and given the opportunity to participate. But we also wanted to articulate the commitment around broadening the benefits of Earth observation to everyone, including to historically and or geographically disadvantaged group. Now, what we did was to organize this statement around 5 pillars, which are oversight and accountability, community leadership and advocacy, creating a welcoming and supportive environment, outreach and engagement, and then empowerment through accessibility. Let me quickly get you an idea of what we mean for each of those pillars. For the first one, on oversight and accountability, this directly relates to the subgroup being created as a way to enforce the strategic aim to develop GEO as an institution that provides this fair, supportive, and encouraging networking environment. Among the many things that the subgroup is tasked to do is the responsibility to conduct regular audits and provide recommendation to GEO governance and administration. When it comes to community leadership and advocacy here, this is about articulating the commitment to raise awareness with the Earth observation, within the Earth observation community of the benefits and of the benefits of inclusive participation by people from all sectors. So really explaining and communicating and disseminating the benefits of having a diverse set of sectors represented, whether it's government institutions, civil society organization, non-governmental organization, as well as academic and research institution and business and any other area of expertise to really help create innovative solution that benefits everyone from local to global challenges, to local scale. Oh. The third one is about creating a welcoming and supportive environment. So this is very well encapsulated in its title, hopefully, but really this is about GEO committing to striving to maximize diversity in all governance structure of GEO, including meetings and events, and this at all time. Outreach and engagement is about proactively engaging a wide range of stakeholder communities to understand their needs through the GEO work program, regional GEO communication channel, as well as national and participating organization coordination mechanism. So really to branch out and hear from people and engage with them to really get good communication going to inform GEO's work. And then empowerment through accessibility is about advocating for and delivering on transparent and standardized accessibility to open Earth observation data, information, and knowledge through GEOS. Next slide. Oh yeah, no, that's me. So we submitted this EDI statement to the GEO Executive Committee and got some feedback. And one of the things we heard was the call for the subgroup to consult broadly within the community on the pertinence and relevance of this statement. So subsequently, we did a lot of activity around engaging people and getting feedback on what they think about that statement and how it was perceived. So for example, in June 2021, we worked with the regional GEO and held a parallel session at the GEO virtual symposium. Through those different activities, we gathered a number of feedback. The most important point to make is that people generally identified well with this 5 pillars, and there was a general feeling that the action articulated for each pillar were appropriate. But we also got some other feedback, which included, for example, people wanting to be able to engage more and comment and share their EDI experience with GEO. People wanting to be able to understand what roles are available in GEO and how to access them, and request for higher visibility of underrepresented community. which could, for example, be helped by stronger communication around local knowledge, local story, and local champion. We also got a reminder that English as the single geo language can be a barrier for engagement for many, and a reminder that capacity building is an important action to promote diversity and inclusion. So basically what people agreed here is that this is a good first step. This is a starting point for mainstreaming in DI discussion in GEO, but also for unveiling and addressing issues relating, for example, to accessibility, representation, and transparency. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. And we'll open the floor up for comments or questions from the community. And also recall, this document is up for endorsement by the GEO community. So if you wish to confirm your endorsement for it, please do that in the chat as well. Over to our South Africa, Benani, please.
Thanks very much, Chairperson, and I really want to thank the team for putting this together. My view is that this is one of those long overdue position statements for GEO. We really need to very much focus on the success that will be based on inclusivity. So I want to say to the team, well done. We fully support this document, and we think that for GEO to have an impact, we need to make sure that we walk this journey with everybody from all corners of the earth. So this document is really beginning to put us, we were doing that, some of that, but I think now that we've got a guideline in the form of this document, I really want to say we give full endorsement. Thanks.
Thank you, Madeni. And next to China and then to the European Commission.
Thanks. China endorsed Geo Equality, Diversity, Inclusion Statement as the co-chair representing Asian and Oceania region. We also participate organization in this region. This year, China released the several measures to support female scientific and technology talents to play a greater role in scientific and technological innovation in order to boost the agenda of female talent. Furthermore, we will encourage more female scientists and experts and youth to join in the activity of GEO as well. Thanks.
Thank you, China. And over to John Bell from the European Commission.
Thank you very much, Steve, and thanks, Natalie, for a very supportive and uplifting presentation. The Commission, of course, welcomes the work done by the EDI subgroup, for example, and reaching out to the regional GEOs, which is very important. And we welcome also the introduction of language diversity as a clear barrier to be considered. The Commission feels that the statement will really contribute to a more inclusive and diverse GEO, which, as our colleagues who've spoken already in the chat bar said, is very important to who we are and how we work. We support the adoption of the statement on equality, diversity, and inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, EC. Over to Mexico, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Celine Jacquin on behalf of Paloma Merodio, Vice President of the National Institute of Statistics and Geography of Mexico. We fully support the statement and the work of the subgroup in which our institution participates. We have seen this group grow and schematize many lines of actions to make GEO a more conducive environment. So we fully support the work and hope that GEO will be able to develop the recommendations the group has and will issue. For example, we have seen that there is still an opportunity in terms of gender diversity and geographic representation. We can see in the web page of this edition of GeoWeek that there is 37% women speakers, and maybe due to the time, the language, and perhaps other barriers, participants from Latin America and the Caribbean represent only 17% of the speakers from the Americas and 5% of the global participation. So we invite everyone in the Geo network to consider these needs, and that should be at the center of innovation if we want to represent, to listen, and to co-create globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I look through the chats and see strong endorsements across the board, and I see what United States would like to present, please.
Great, thank you, Chair. So the United States is really pleased to support this statement. We really appreciate the work of the EDI subgroup, and we recognize the importance of promoting equality, diversity, and inclusion in all the GEO activities. Really, EDI are principles that reflect the vision of GEO, and really need to strive to make sure that GEO is an inclusive organization and reflective of the broad membership. We'll also note that the midterm evaluation report highlighted this as an area for GEO to really benefit from strengthening inclusion and increasing engagement from diverse groups. So again, we're very pleased to support the statement.
Thank you, United States. And seeing no other hands raised, Nat, and thank you, Natalie, for the presentation and the strong endorsement from across the GEO community for the inclusion of this statement. Thank you. So moving on to the next section, we will talk about our outward face to the world, our GEO work program, and the efforts that we accomplish. So I will turn the floor over to Ndiswa Misla from the South African group, who is also co-chair of the program board. Please, over to you, Ndiswa.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you, Rick. So as already introduced, my name is Ndiswa Misla, and I'm one of the program board co-chairs. I would like to firstly recognize the incredible work that the Secretariat has done in assessing and supporting the work program for up to the 2022, so which we are about to enter the last year of. And as you can see, we're now starting to think about what 2023-2025 work program needs to look like. A lot of thought has gone into this, and for the sake of time and presentation today, I'm not going to cover everything that you're going to be seeing on the screen. I'm going to just try to keep you on the high level and send a message in terms of adding to your action list, because it's been a packed week, and I'm sure you've got insights and a number of actions you've taken. We're going to add one more action on your action list to prepare us for 2023 to 2025. Rick, if you don't mind, the next slide, please. So the key question that we're really asking is, what can we learn from the successful GEO work program activities? You've gotten some insights on these during the week, so I won't bore you by telling you some of what you're looking at on the screen. But here's a summary in terms of what we can take as some of the key success lessons from the GEO work program. Next slide, please. So some of the common features that we're always looking for, open collaboration has been one of the key elements that the successful work program activities outlines. Here, it's the collaboration between the GEO members, the participating organizations, as well as some entities that sometimes we don't get to see inside GEO, or people that never even come to plenaries and so forth, but they participate in the work program activities. We've now got associates as well, so the increase in the private sector participation in the work program. The working together collectively on common projects or common activities has been one of the key features of success. Focus on defined users and outputs. You would recall that in every symposium in the past decade or so, we talk about who are our users, and this is one of the major success features that we find. Connection to global policy organizations and frameworks, in particular those that talk to Sendai, to climate change, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals. the open and reusable methods and results that can be applied by other GEO members. Here we're also looking at those that already raised their hands in terms of contributing to the Knowledge Hub as well. And of course, one of the major features that we find that adds to the success of the activities is the stable project coordination, which also ensures a proper stakeholder engagement in any of the activities. Next slide. The weaknesses that have been identified in the 2020 to 2022 work program would start with too few activities have results ready for use. It's still more in the research phase or development phase. Second aspect is many activities have stalled or stopped progressing, and this is due to a number of reasons, funding being one of those reasons, and most often leadership being a challenge because people move. Little collaboration across activities. You know a lot about this because this comes up in our symposium. Some activity functions more as communities of practice rather than being real collaborations. And of course, some of the activities in the work program are largely individual countries or individual POs or narrowly focused on a particular region or particular country. Next slide, please. So when we're considering positioning the GEO work program for success, there are two key major things that we would like to put forward. One, clarifying the expectations of the work program activities, and this forms part of the response to the midterm evaluation. One part that I would mention is the renaming of community activities to pilot initiatives, and this is to indicate that this is the entry point to the GEO work program, and also further we communicate the expectations that they should transition to a GEO initiative within a reasonable period of time. Because that was the intention of the community activities, if we all remember, is to allow community to start something, to start working together, but with the idea that it must grow. However, we do not want to create the impression that GEO initiatives will be expected to become flagships, because we know the tall order that it requires to become a flagship. The second aspect is that the Secretariat will increase its targeted assistance to the GEO work program activities. We've seen already with this current work program, the level of support that the Secretariat has put in, including the engagement, the work program engagement teams that the program board has also participated in, which gives us a lot of insight in terms of what's happening in the work program. Next slide. So if we look at the objectives for the 2023 to 2025 work program, one, we're looking for greater collaboration and integration across the whole work program. Stronger emphasis on open knowledge, which will contribute to the GEO Knowledge Hub. More specific identification of intended and actual users, and of course a clear definition of the GEO work program categorization, talking about the pilot initiatives, the GEO initiatives, and also the flagships, and of course the simplification of the implementation plan templates. This is one of the areas that when we changed the work program to be what it is now, we had taken and listened to the comments that came back that it mustn't be tedious for reporting, and so we're still following that even for this round. Next slide, please. So what are the changes that you can expect that are going to support it and ensure that we see this success that we're looking for? One, you'll find that there's a general criteria. This is open for participation by all GEO members, POs, GEO associates, anyone can actually put forward an implementation plan to be part of the GEO work program. So intent to develop open and reusable solutions is some of the criteria we're looking for, the demonstration of the need. We're also looking for the pilot initiatives to look at the evidence for need and identification for target users. At the GEO initiative level, the specific elements that we're looking for is plan for scaling, outputs distinct from other GEO work program activities. Because if we're all similar, that means we should all be collaborating in some form. So that distinction becomes important. The GEO initiatives and flagships will really appreciate an uptake and a clear identification of how the EDI statement or how EDI principles are going to be considered in the implementation plans. Next, please, Rick. So what you'll find as changes in the implementation plan template, one that I think everyone is going to welcome is a move towards an online implementation plan tool. So a simple version control and management of documentation. This is what will give us, and this will be done by the Secretariat. And we're hoping that it will facilitate cross-geo work program analysis and enable automatic population of new initiatives, web pages on the GEO website, and of course, easier for activities to update, and also for stakeholders and interested parties to actually find activities and what GEO is doing. There's a reduction in the length of the implementation plans. So we're targeting a maximum length of about 10 pages, which is down from 20 pages, plus a one-page summary. We want to build on the working groups mapping exercise. So this is the data from the mapping exercise to replace the former sections of the templates, and also rewriting of the questions based on the analysis of the 2020 to 2022 IP. And this section is just meant to ensure that there's a better understanding of the work plan. It makes it easier for the community to populate the work plan. Next slide, please. So lastly, it's looking at the timeframes. Like I said, we're giving you an action to go home and do. But first and foremost, the Secretariat is looking to launch the work program, the call for new implementation plans during December 2021. In January 2022, we're looking to launch the online system. We're launching it early so that we can actually be able to test with few activities to see whether it's having the level of response that we would like it to have in terms of the user friendliness. December 2021 to March 2022, so the closing date will be around March for the preparation of and submission of the work plans. The program board will then start its activities with regards to the reviewing of the work plan, of the implementation plans, and engaging with the implementing partner points of contact. We're also looking to have the Geo Symposium, which is what we always try to do, to see if that can be an opportunity to engage on what the new work plan would be looking like. In July, the consultations with the Geo principals, which would then also lead to the program board in its roundabout September meeting to approve the new work plan for approval to review for approval by the Geo Plenary in October, November, so sometime as this year. So I think the key message is please look out for the call from the Secretariat during December and start considering some of the key success factors that we have outlined in terms of how we make a successful GEO work program, and look out for that online tool. And we're hoping that it will make submissions way much easier and also the review process much easier. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Indiswa, for an excellent presentation. I open the floor up to comments from the community now. I will take the precedence and ask a question of my own. You mentioned in your presentation about the introduction of pilots, and pilots are being, not the introduction, but the application of pilots and how important they are, and stated there one of the identifications of need was one of the requirements for a pilot. Is there also a focused objective that a pilot should lead to a sustainable implementation as part of its projected outcome?
That's the reason why we're encouraging that the pilots must provide some identification in terms of how they're going to go to become initiatives, that one doesn't stay throughout the lifespan of the work program as a pilot. So we're looking for those growth steps, which actually leads to the sustainability of those activities.
Okay, thank you. Now I see the EC and then follow up with the United Kingdom. Please go ahead, John.
Thank you very much, South Africa. Thank you, Andy. So, the European Commission appreciates really the emphasis given to greater collaboration and integration across the GWP activities. And we welcome, of course, the emphasis on open knowledge, which aligns perfectly with our policies here across the European grouping. We would like to just call for additional efforts in the future in terms of maybe looking at the simplification of the process and shortening of the duration of the exercise so as to ensure that the GEO work program is fully agile in tackling emerging priorities such as the ones that we've all have been going through together and are going through together in the COVID pandemic. But I think it's been a really impressive job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. United Kingdom, please.
Thank you. The United Kingdom really welcomes this initiative to start to understand reasons that are perhaps preventing certain areas of GEO activities developing from the case study stage into the operational stage. And this is a really welcome development to start to understand some of the reasons for perhaps holding back some progress in some areas. And we really welcome the contribution to open knowledge, which the UK has always supported. So we reflect on this presentation and welcome contributions that start to look at areas and where the GEO community can consolidate its activity and avoid being spread too thin, potentially. Thank you.
Thank you, UK. Any other interventions or questions from the community? I'll give it a moment. Geo Secretary, I see Jana has her hand up. Please go ahead, Jana.
Yes, just a very short, quick intervention. Oftentimes when we discuss our work program activities, we like to look for the impact that's being made. And so one new thing that we will be working on also this year is helping our work program activities to develop their impact plan. So I actually wanted to take this opportunity to just announce that thanks to ITC, a participating organization of GEO, we will have Jus Tuben as a virtual secondee who will bring this new capability into, again, our arsenal, our toolbox. And he will be working with the various flagships and initiatives and community activities to help them design the impact portion of the implementation plan so we can know where to look for the said impact. So thank you, ITC, for augmenting our set of capabilities with designing impacts.
Okay, thank you, Jana. And just any comments back from based on what you've heard?
Thank you, Chair. We do appreciate the support and endorsement from the members that have come in for interventions. I also note those that are made on the chat as well. The program board, as well as I guess the rest of the community, is looking forward to the development of the 2023 work program. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, and we see uniform support across the community from the comments on the program board work and look forward to continued great effort. And I would like to endorse as well the European Commission's comment about let's keep it nimble and quick so that we don't have an extended process of developing the work program, but that we're able to execute it in a timely fashion. So thank you. So we'll move on now to the next sessions. We were just speaking about the work program, and now we'll turn it over to the Secretariat to discuss the program board membership for the coming period. Over to you, Secretariat.
Hi, thanks, Steve. I guess I'm presenting on behalf of the Secretariat here on the program board. Perhaps I'll just start with a bit of a reminder about the process by which the program board members are appointed. First of all, I'll note that the seats on the program board are held by GEO members or participating organizations. The terms of each program board member is 3 years on a calendar year basis. And about 1/3 of the seats come open for renewal each year. The Secretariat issues an annual call for nominations and reviews the nominations and proposes a slate of candidates for executive committee review. The executive committee, in this case, reviewed the nominations at its meeting on Monday of this week. And so the slate that I'll be presenting is the result of the executive committee decision. So, I'll just finally note that the actual appointment of the PB members is by the plenary. Next slide, please. So here we are. We have the 10 members that are recommended as the slate for 2022. They will join the existing members whose terms are continuing. So these members are Finland, Ghana, South Africa, United Kingdom, United States, COSPAR, EURASEA, Mountain Research Initiative, the Open Geospatial Consortium, and Plan for All. Now, I will note here that a number of these members are returning. They were members of the program board last year. We have among these 2 new members, EURASEA and Plan for All, and 1 member, COSPAR, which was not a member last year, but was the year before. So certainly welcome all of these members to the program board. And this, on approval of this proposed slate, this would be the full complement of the program board for 2022. So I'll turn it to you again, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. We'll open the comment up to the community and to requests and to endorsements of the program board slate. So looking for input text, the U.S. Endorses the program board slate. I see that there. Any other comments from or questions for Mr. Larley? John, please.
Hi, thank you again, Steve. We'd like to express our satisfaction that all of our current members of the program board have agreed to renew their engagement, have decided to submit nominations for the next period, and all those nominations have been kept for being submitted to the GEO principles. We'd like to also express our satisfaction that our new European participating organizations are joining the board, namely EURASEA, a non-profit association of European space agencies, governmental offices, and international organizations in charge of space affairs, and Plan for All, a non-profit association sustaining and further enhancing results of multiple research and innovation projects, for joining the program board, increasing as such the engagement of Europe. So this is, I think, a very promising moment, and we thank all of those involved in this process and support this. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I see endorsements coming in across the board on the board, and no requests to speak at the moment. So we will take this as concurred on by the community. And we'll move on then to the next section. We just talked about the program board membership. We'll now turn it over to the Secretary to discuss the executive committee membership for 2022. Over to you, Secretary.
Thank you, Steve. This will be very quick. These are the names that we have received from the caucuses for members of the executive committee from each caucus. So for Africa, next year it will be South Africa, Ghana, Senegal. South Africa is the co-chair. For the Americas, United States of America is the co-chair, Costa Rica and Peru. For Asia, Oceania, China, co-chair, Australia, Korea, Japan. For CIS, Armenia and Russia. For Europe, European Commission, co-chair, Germany, Greece, Spain. No endorsement necessary. This is just a fact.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you, all members of the executive committee. It's an active body with an important role to play in the organization. So thank you for your work and your participation. So now we're on the home stretch, as we say in the US, as we are looking at we'll now discuss a review of Geo Week 2021, which is almost completed, and the next steps leading forward to the coming year. So I'll turn it over to the Secretary and Doug Kripe to talk about the actions and outcomes from Geo Week 2021. Please, over to you, Doug.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So I'm going to take you on a journey over the past 4 days here and just do as quickly as I can a review of what we have seen. So we started way back, if you'll remember, in session 1 with a welcome from the lead co-chair, Joanna Drake, who comes to us from DG Research and Innovation. Then we had several opening remarks that were pre-recorded from China. Among other things, we learned that they're opening up access to 30 EO data sets for sustainable development. South Africa placed emphasis on the midterm evaluation report, and in particular, the strengthening of regional geos. The USA also acknowledged the midterm evaluation report that indicates we're at a critical junction. And then the Secretariat Director also followed up on that to indicate that this lays the groundwork for the post-2025 GEO. Then in the opening keynote presentation, the European Commission noted many things, including that the engagement with UN bodies has been strengthened, the importance of open knowledge and the Knowledge Hub, the need to accelerate research to operations, and also to sharpen our user-oriented approach as we go forward. Then we welcomed new participating organizations and associates. As you can see there, we now are up to 140 participating organizations and 19 associates. The agenda was approved as presented, as was the GEO-16 report, and the midterm evaluation report and the executive committee responses were also approved. Going to session 2, we began to look at work program activities and the way they contribute to global policy frameworks. In particular, we looked at 4 activities of the GEO work program. We looked at the Global Observation System for Mercury and what it's doing to support the Minamata Convention. We looked at the Global Seismic, I'm sorry, I'm spacing on what GSNL stands for. It's
Super sites and natural laboratories.
Thank you. Super sites and national laboratories, and how Iceland is using the information from that. Its seismic authorities are to monitor earthquake activity. GeoGLOWS also was used as an example of cooperation between Israel and Palestine in monitoring and handling flood situations. And then the Ramsar Convention indicated that activities from GeoWetlands would be in support of their activities. In session 3, we showcased GEO's efforts to promote the science policy interface through engagement of various stakeholders, including policymakers and the GEO community. We heard from the 4 regional GEOs. AfriGeo places the focus in particular on land degradation neutrality and will be enhancing capacities through online courses. Merodio emphasizes intergovernmental collaboration based on international free and open Earth observation data to inform policy and decision-making across several countries in Latin America. The Asian Water Cycle Initiative showed how it is constructing a platform for water resilience and disasters through identification of common situations across Asia that enables data sharing. EuroGeo provided a glimpse into some of its activities, including providing Earth observation information for determining things such as future energy mixes towards carbon neutrality. Then we heard from the GEO working groups, the joint GEO work program mapping activities that link to policy needs some improvement and especially can work more with the regional GEOs. The climate change working group highlighted many of the areas in which it's been active. The disaster risk reduction working group also showed where it's been active in aligning with the Sendai framework and priorities for action there. And then the capacity development working group made the point that it's essential to support both the climate and disaster risk reduction activities, and that this also should be something that's shared across GEO and the multiple resources available there. Then we went on to consider the 4th engagement priority of resilient cities and human settlements. That was approved. Then we went on to session 4, bridging the digital divide with data, tools, and knowledge. We heard from several presenters on the importance of open data, how that helps to set the context for nations to monitor, manage, and mitigate hazards, for public-private partnerships, and to stimulate scientific research. We heard from the Global Wildfire Information Service that provides an effective way to support data access, process, and data use for wildfires globally. We heard from Digital Earth Africa how operational services provide data transformation information that is now fit for purpose for the entire continent. We heard from Geo Mountains, who is making discoverable, accessible, and usable data, and how they have put that together in a knowledge package for the Geo Knowledge Hub. And then we heard from one of the projects under the Cloud Credits program with Amazon Web Services from India on the India Data Cube, demonstrating how an integrated approach of Earth observation data and surveys enables better monitoring of development indicators. The open knowledge statement was adopted. Then, as we just heard today, the financial statement and audit report and Geo Trust Fund were both approved. We reviewed the Geo Awards, the 2021 Geo Sdg Awards, the Individual Excellence Awards, and the Art Competition winners. The statement on Geo Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion was endorsed. The plans for going forward with the Geo Work Program to 2023 to 2025 was welcomed by the plenary with the qualification that things be nimble and quick. The program board for 2022 was endorsed. Then we reviewed the executive committee members for 2022. Then in terms of the anchor sessions, we had an initial anchor session that looked on the integrated implementation of Geo Work Program activities. We noted that there was a need for further integration across the work program to fully unlock the power of Earth observations to address complex interlinked challenges, connections between the Sustainable Development Goals, climate and adaptation, disaster risk reduction, and urban goals, and other targets should take advantage of synergistic relations and limit possible trade-offs and accelerate transformational change. Access to multiple government agencies through GEO members is one way in which we can progress this kind of approach. In Anchor Session 2 on climate action, we noted that Earth observations can be used to strengthen spending decisions by governments and international financial institutions on climate-friendly investments in the context of the Paris Agreement on climate change. We also saw how Earth observations and other geographic sensors can help augment reporting practices and provide market transparency without requiring companies to measure climate-related risks. Financial decision makers are looking for new insights, and Geo Plus technology can influence what and how climate is measured, and the Geo community is welcome to support vulnerability and risk assessments for specific countries, building on regional and global scientific efforts. In Anchor Session 3, Climate and Oceans, Ambassador Thompson noted that only through accurate and coordinated global observations will we obtain the science we need for the ocean we want. And then UNESCO IOC noted that the Ocean Climate Nexus can help identify opportunities for including ocean solutions in nationally determined contributions. And then Joanna Post from the UNFCCC noted that observations are the foundation for commitments and decision-making. And then we heard from Pacific Island countries and territories on the need for Earth observations for many things, including climate change risks. And we heard from Laura David that Geo Blue Planet has the potential to support national adaptation plans and the UN Decade of Ocean Science. In Anchor Session 4, Resilient Cities and Human Settlements, we noted that the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals are a cross-sector collaboration, which includes the public and private sectors, as well as civil society, NGOs, and international organizations. And GEO has particularly been a strong collaborator for urban activities through EO for SDG, Human Planet Initiative, the Global Urban Observations Initiative, as well as our partnership with CEOS. The Earth Observations Toolkit for Sustainable Cities and Human Settlements were shown as an example of collaboration between UN Habitat GEO and the EO for SDG initiative. And then all of these actions were related to the approval of the fourth engagement priority, resilient cities and human settlements. Finally, Anchor Session 5, Nature-Based Solutions. We learned about the emphasis to apply Earth observations to inform nature-based solutions and help tackle interconnected crises of climate change and biodiversity loss from Elizabeth Marima, who is the Executive Secretary at the Convention on Biological Diversity. We heard about opportunities for the GEO community to contribute to discussions on post-2020 global biodiversity framework as providers of high-quality geospatial data and to be able or to allow monitoring frameworks for the targets and goals of the CBD. And then we also looked at links for collaboration across the GEO work program, including activities and flagships, GEO Bond, EO for Ecosystem Accounting, and GEO LDN, as well as the GEO Indigenous Alliance. Finally, the youth track got off the ground. This was the first time that the youth track has been included as part of the GEO Week. It included 2 focused cross-regional dialogues. The discussions of these events led to the creation of the GEO Youth Community of Practice, which will be focusing on concrete actions. The first priority area is to engage youth networks and link with GEO work program activities. And then the second focus area is to build the youth presence at GEO events and have their work recognized in the future. And finally, next actions by the Secretariat will be to consolidate the input into terms of reference for the community of practice. And to conclude, a few initial statistics. Over the last 5 days, we've had more than 1,460 registrations and an 80% turnout. Again, as we've just gone over, we had 5 plenary and 5 anchor sessions, along with 40 side events. We had 4 sessions for the youth track with more than 300 participants, and we had 2 days of industry track events. More than 72 hours of virtual sessions happened during the week, which is the equivalent of 3 days nonstop, and each session was supported by at least 1 member of the Secretariat. So, Chair, that concludes my resume of the week. Back to you.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for a very comprehensive synopsis of the week in review. I'd like to provide just a few closing remarks from on behalf of myself and my fellow XCOM committee co-chairs and members. Looking back over a very busy and productive week, I reflect how beneficial it is to meet, even virtually, to review and confer on the work we do for our global community. We've heard from a number of those communities and organizations that benefit from our information sources this week, and who also gave us clear indications of how we can do a better job of meeting their needs as we move forward. Many of those comments we heard from our partner organizations were reflected in the midterm evaluation report that we discussed at length this week, and as Doug has just reviewed. The XCOM, on behalf of the GEO membership, will be guiding the execution of the GEO response to the MTE, as well as supporting the continuation of the work program development as we define our role in the path for GEO post-2025. I want to make a comment on the MTE itself. The comprehensive response to the MTE will really allow GEO to continue building on our successes while addressing our challenges and forging a path forward for an action-oriented GEO. And I'll highlight 2 of the MTE linkages. One is that in session 3 on regional GEOs, we recognize the need to strengthen the regional GEOs to better integrate their role across the work program and observation made by the MTE. Notably, the role of the regional GEOs in supporting the policy goals of national GEOs emerged as a clear theme reflected in the MTE findings and in key areas of our presentations this week. Also note that the importance of matching the regional focus with a thematic information delivery, recognizing that specific environmental conditions are often global, not in one region alone, and noting, for example, that an island in the Caribbean may have as much in common with islands in the Pacific or the Indian Oceans as they do with their own caucus, the regional caucus. 2 cross-cutting needs identified throughout the MTE were capacity development and the equity, equality, diversity, and inclusion elements, with the MTE calling on enhanced efforts from both across all GEO activities. These points were made clear in all of the discussions this week, and capacity development plays a central role in addressing the gaps in EO and uptake in knowledge amongst the members, participants, partners, and stakeholders. And I want to note that capacity development is not just making our recipients more aware of our data, but also being better listeners so that we can tailor our data to the needs and the capacities of the communities we seek to serve. Our collective response will be a very important focus of 2022 leading up to next year's plenary. And I wish to congratulate GEO for bringing a new focus and accelerating meaningful engagement of youth and indigenous communities into GEO. With thanks to Yana Gevorkian, Diana Mastracci, and Delilah Kamei, and along with many others for this effort. For the first time, we have a GEO youth rapporteurs reporting throughout the various GEO events, especially the anchor sessions. Young people have been a part of these discussions and tweeting highlights throughout. And GEO has an opportunity to be the organization that will lead in turning these actions into action for GEO. We've heard throughout the plenary and through the anchor sessions and the side events how connections with stakeholders remain a significant challenge, especially at the national level. And I want to reiterate what the GEO Secretariat has said in her opening remarks and call on the principals and all delegates to actively facilitate these connections and help the national development of efforts. In that effort, we need to understand that no one model works in all nations or regions. We need to, again, listen to the needs of the individual member states as we support the further development of their national member programs. And finally, we discussed the awards in the art competition and contributions today. I note that we are technical and bureaucratic in our professional roles, most of us, and we bring that expertise to the challenges addressing climate change and adapting to changing world. But these last years have really shown how powerful emotional engagement is when working to change our behaviors and to support our communities. Art is such an effective way to support that engagement, to embrace the heart and the minds of the people we work with. And I applaud the addition of the art competition and the award celebrations overall for helping us to become more empathic in working with our communities. We have several very busy years ahead of us following the energy and action and outcomes of the recent COP review, and GEO really has a major role to play. So looking forward to seeing and meeting that challenge that we have in front of us. And then speaking of the coming year, I'd like to turn it over back now to the Secretariat to talk about the announcement of GEO Week 2022. Over to you, Yana.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's usually customary for us at this moment in the agenda to announce the location of next year's GEO Week. And I won't keep you in suspense. We do not have a location for next year's GEO Week, but we do have dates. And the dates are October 31st through November 4th. The dates will precede UNFCCC Conference of the Parties 27 that will take place in Egypt. So we want to make sure that we don't follow the COP, we don't happen during the COP, we will go straight before the COP. So again, October 31st through November 4th. And if any of our members at the moment would like to make this especially uber exciting moment, you are welcome to raise your flag and announce an offer to host the GEO Week. I can even pause here for 15-20 seconds because that's all it takes to make a decision of that magnitude. Or if you can appreciate the humor, then we can simply leave you with the request to please think about hosting likely a hybrid. I mean, if all goes well and the world really surprises us, we can have just a physical, but ideally, probably more realistically, a hybrid GEO Week in 2022 during October 31st through November 4th. Please reach out to the Secretariat, make an offer. We will be very easy. We'll accept it right away. Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Yana. And I didn't see any groundswell of additions to the chat with nominations or self-nominations, but we look forward to working for that assignment of that date. I will note, just from a United States perspective, happens to once again align with our election week, which seems to be a recurring theme. But we look forward to a very active first week in November next year. With that, I believe we are at the end of the agenda and of the plenary session. And I want to add a personal thanks to the Secretariat and all of the team that supported the development of this virtual plenary. As I mentioned in my remarks, it is important for us to get together and talk and face to face and have interactions. And this is as good as it comes, as I've seen in a number of international meetings and other meetings on Google or on Facebook or others, Zoom and the like. And you've done an excellent job this week to everyone. And the participation has been engaging and interactive. I want to thank everybody for their contributions and for making this a positive and productive activity. And open around, I see the applause coming up. Please, everybody, enjoy the rest of your week, what little is left in it for some of us. And thank you all for participating this week in the Geo Plenary 2021. And we are officially adjourned.
Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Did you hear anything?
And if you ever have separation anxiety, you are welcome to go and rewatch all of the sessions, which are available immediately.